It's Tuesday in Simpsonville, South Carolina, and I want to speak to you today about the nature of Christ, or the nature of God. I heard a cute story about knowing somebody's nature by what they do when they don't think anybody's looking around. It's a story about a little boy was asked if three men stepped into an elevator, one being an honest politician, the second being a generous lawyer, and the third being the Easter Bunny. And when they got into the elevator, the door closed and there was a $20 bill on the floor of the elevator. Who picked it up? The little boy didn't have to think very long, and he quickly said, the Easter Bunny, because there's no such thing as an honest politician or a generous lawyer. Well, when we come to the scriptures in Hebrews chapter 1, verse 3, we find a description of Jesus, and here's what it says. And he is the radiance of his exact representation, the nature, and upholds all things by the word of his power. When he had made purification of sin, he sat down at the right hand of the Majesty on high. The radiance of his glory, exact representation. So what is God like? Well, we can know what God is like by looking at Jesus. First of all, in Matthew chapter 3, verse 15, we find that he's righteous. We know that God is righteous. No one's righteous like God. He's humble. He's not looking for us to bow down and worship him because of his pride. He deserves our worship because of who he is. And we see that Jesus, when he was here on the earth, said, I didn't come to be served, but I came to serve. And he did. He gave his all. We know that he is humble. We know that he's compassionate. We see over and over again Jesus all through the scriptures in his compassion. We see him weeping at the tomb of Lazarus. We see him having compassion on those that are like sheep without a shepherd. We see the compassion of Jesus. Know that God is compassionate. We know he's gentle. Jesus said, take my yoke, it's light and easy. We know that he is gentle in all of his ways, and so God is gentle in all of his ways. He's forgiving. We see Jesus forgiving the woman at the well. We see him forgiving those that have been abusive towards him, and we see him on the cross saying, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. We know that he is also merciful. How many times did Jesus show mercy rather than justice? How many times as he walked this earth, in Luke chapter 17 and Mark chapter 10, he was merciful. As a comforter. And he brings about a peace, John 14:27 and John 16:33. In the world you'll have trouble, but in me you can have peace, even in the midst of the trouble. And he's just. We sometimes say, when, God, are you going to take care of this problem? When are you going to punish these that deserve punishment? But we know that God is just. One day, they'll give an account. So will we, with what we've done with our lives. What is God like? Read the 4 gospel accounts of Jesus, and you'll see what God's like. You see, it tells me clearly here in the scriptures, he is the radiance of his glory and the exact representation of his nature. The exact representation of his nature. And his nature is wonderful, righteous, humble, compassionate, gentle, forgiving, merciful, comforting and peace-giving, and just. That's your thought for the day. God bless you and have a wonderful day.